It was a Tuesday morning, just another Tuesday. I remember the exact moment the elevator doors closed and I caught my own reflection in the metal. Suit pressed, hair done, coffee in hand, everything exactly the way it was supposed to look. And I stood there, in that tiny moving box, surrounded by people who didn't make eye contact, and I felt something I still struggle to describe. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't anger. It was something quieter and scarier than both of those things. It was the feeling that none of this was real, that I was performing a life instead of living one. I couldn't breathe, not literally, but if you've ever stood in a crowded room and felt completely alone, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let me take you back. Because this story doesn't start in that elevator. It starts the way most stories like this start, with doing everything right. I grew up in a house where success meant stability. My parents worked hard. They sacrificed things I didn't even know they were sacrificing. The message was clear, even if nobody ever said it out loud. Get a good education, find a good job, build a good life. So that's what I did. College, internship, entry level, long hours, more long hours, promotions that felt like rewards but were really just invitations to work even harder. By the time I was 34, I had made it. Real money, more than my father made in his entire life. Health insurance, a parking spot with my name on it. I had arrived and I was completely, utterly, silently falling apart. Every Sunday night, I would lie awake in the dark, stomach in knots, staring at the ceiling. Not thinking, not dreaming, just surviving the week before it even started. I told myself it was normal. But somewhere deep down I knew something was wrong. Not with my job, with me, with the direction I was walking in. The moment I really started to wake up wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. It was a conversation with my boss. He had been in the industry for over 20 years. Smart man, respected, the kind of guy people pointed to and said, he made it. He had the title, the office, the authority. He'd also been divorced twice and barely saw his kids. One afternoon he called me into his office, looked me in the eyes and said, "You're doing great. Keep it up. You're going to go far here." I smiled. I said thank you. I walked back to my desk, and then I sat there and felt a cold wave move through my chest. Because I didn't see my mentor. I didn't see my future boss. I saw my future. I saw myself in 20 years. Exhausted. Hollow. A man who had won the game everyone else designed and lost something he couldn't name. But even that didn't break me completely. What broke me was something else. There was a guy I worked with, the most dedicated person I had ever seen. In at 7, out at 10, 12 years with the same company. Never complained, never asked for recognition. He trusted the process. He trusted the institution. One September, the company restructured. He was the first name on the list. I went to see him the next day. He was calm, almost peaceful. And he said something I have carried with me every day since. I gave everything I had to this company, and I just realized it never asked me to. I drove home in complete silence. No music, no podcast, just me and the highway in the dark. And somewhere on that drive, something inside me cracked open. All the tension and the exhaustion and the years of performing instead of living. I cried in my car like I hadn't cried since I was a child. And when it was over, I felt something unexpected. I felt clear. 3 months later, I quit. No plan, no safety net. Just a decision. My mother called every day asking if I was okay. My friends were concerned in that polite way people get when they think you're making a mistake but don't want to say it directly. Some stopped calling altogether. I understood I'd broken the agreement. I had stepped off the path. I bought a small piece of land out in the country, more than I could handle. I learned how to grow things by failing at growing things. There were weeks where the doubt was so loud I could barely think. But I stayed. Because even in the hardest moments I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt present, actually inside my own life instead of watching it from somewhere outside. One morning, I think it was a Wednesday, I was on my knees in the dirt, hands cut up, shirt soaked with sweat, and I looked at what I had planted and I smiled. Nobody was watching. Nobody was grading me. I smiled because it was mine, really mine. And that feeling was worth more than any number I had ever seen on a paycheck. Today, I don't have the title. I don't have the salary. My mom still lights a candle for me at church. But I have peace, real peace, not the absence of problems, the presence of meaning. Wealth is not what you accumulate. Wealth is what you no longer have to endure. I didn't run away from life. I ran towards something true. And every morning when I wake up before the sun and feel the cold air on my face, I understand something no salary ever taught me. You can have everything they told you to want and still be starving for something real. Are you building the life you actually want? Or are you just getting better at living someone else's idea of a good one? Tell me in the comments, what is the one thing you keep doing even though it's draining you? Just say it out loud. That's where it begins.